It's week 2 of my Whole30. I actually finished week 2. Anyway, if you haven't seen part 1 of my Whole30 thing, please go back. It's the vlog, or it's the video before this. So I'm on day 15 right now. Today's November 16th. So I actually finished the second week yesterday. Okay, so where am I at? What's going on? Everything like that. Well, once again, I'll show you that I've been keeping track of the way I've been feeling on this paper, in this notebook. And then I was also doing some kind of daily journaling a little bit. But I kind of stopped doing that because I figured that the checklist was sufficient. So anyway, I'm just going to talk about that, I guess. Okay, so last week were days, 8 through 14? According to the timeline, days 8 and 9 were being bloated, your clothes not fitting right, maybe some intestinal distress. I was going through that in week 1. I haven't had any problems in week 2. Days 8 and 9, I still just had really low energy. I didn't notice any real bloating, but I'm so heavy that I don't really notice being bloated. So I didn't notice that. Like I said, I mainly just had a problem with energy. I don't weigh myself at all during the Whole30. That's what they stipulate. You weigh yourself and do your measurements before, and then you do everything afterwards. It's not really meant solely for weight loss. It's mainly meant to kind of figure out what kind of foods may be bothering you in your diet, as far as like gluten or dairy, lactose, or whatever, sugar, and those kinds of things. The reasons why I did it, I think I talked about in the first video, which were I really wanted to reacquaint myself with real food and kind of get into some healthier habits, and I feel like I've done that. Let's see. So, sleep quality at the beginning of last week was not very good. I was not sleeping well. I was waking up multiple times in the night. That started to improve by the 12th, which was, I think, like Thursday? Something like that. And so that continued over the weekend, except for last night, Sunday night. I did not sleep well at all. I slept in a little bit yesterday. Didn't eat anything crazy. So I don't know what was going on with me, but I could not sleep last night. Let's see what my mood was like. My mood last week was pretty normal for me, which is kind of slightly moody, a little bit temperamental. But Friday was like super rough. I found myself like, I did a vlog, which I talked a little bit about this, and that was on Friday, and I didn't continue it over the weekend, so I'm going to probably wrap that up today, and then you'll probably see that after this video if you watch my vlogs. And so I talk a little bit more about my mood, my kind of depression that I was going through on Friday. I think what that has to do with is my cycle, and I have this weird kind of mid-cycle PMS stuff. So just to be clear, not only am I on the Whole30, but at the same time I dropped my hormone replacement therapy, which I had been on, and so I'm trying to feel out exactly how things are going with that. When I was on the hormones and when I was not on the Whole30, I was very close to being on the verge of tears at any moment. At the drop of the hat, I could be crying, happy, sad, anything emotional, I was teary-eyed. So I cried a couple times last week, but overall I did not feel that urge. My thinking, I feel like it has improved a little bit. I feel like I'm a little bit clearer thinking and a little bit easier to concentrate so far. And my cravings overall have been under control. I did find myself looking at recipes on Pinterest last night that I couldn't have, and dealing with temptation, but I have not cheated or anything. My energy has returned slightly over the weekend. I feel like kind of maybe back to my baseline energy, which I was before I started this. Hopefully, this weekend, next week, I'll see much higher energy and no hot flashes. I did have a few hot flashes at the beginning of this when I had just come off the hormones, but now I'm feeling okay as far as that goes. Okay, so days 8 and 9, the bloating, I already talked about that. 10 and 11 are supposed to be the toughest days. If you go onto Whole30 and search for the revised timeline, you can search through all that stuff. I didn't really necessarily find 10 and 11 hard. 11 was a little bit harder than 10, and it was actually day 12, which I think was that Friday, that was like really tough. But I still went to the Y. I walked on the treadmill for an hour, and I actually felt much, much better after I did that. I haven't been going to the gym because I've been out of the habit, and my energy's been so low since I started this that I really hadn't gotten myself back into the habit. But I go grocery shopping on Monday, and then I'm going to plan on going tomorrow, which is Tuesday. Days 12, 13, 14, and 15 are like a return of some energy and dealing with a lot of cravings, I guess, which I'm kind of falling into that group. So overall, it's going very well. I'm very impressed. One of the reasons why I think this has worked for me is because I am a all or nothing thinker, which is not a good thing, but this is very black and white. It's laid out exactly what I can have and exactly what I can't. So there's really no room for mistakes, no room for slips. I know hopefully you got most of that. So the other thing that I wanted to talk about was meal planning and shopping and stuff like that. Last week I decided to make a compliant soup and put that in the fridge and eat that all week for lunches. Some people can't get into that, and on a normal basis I wouldn't, like if I did that all the time, but I think for 30 days I can deal with it. So that's my plan, is I'm making a soup for lunch and eating it every day. And then dinner, I'm planning out those meals, but I kind of try to make sure that I have at least some cooked meat in the fridge that I can easily heat up in case of an emergency. Also trying to pre-cook vegetables when I can to have them ready, because that's the biggest drawback to this diet, is all the prep and cooking that you have to do. Also with breakfast, I made a frittata twice last week. So I made a frittata, which is really easy to do. You search for Whole30 frittata, or paleo frittata will usually be compliant. The first one I made was like a sweet potato red pepper one that had parsley and other stuff in it, and I made that in a big pan, and then I cut it into thirds, and so I had that for 3 days. And then the second one I made with I think onions, mushrooms, spinach, tomatoes, something like that, and I had that for the next 3 days. And then I was just left, I think, today, where I just had to make myself a veggie scramble. So I just threw that together with some leftover onions and peppers and stuff I had in the fridge, and had some green beans on the side, which were really disgusting. But anyway, that's worked for me, kind of batch cooking, if you will, and having things prepared already in the fridge that you can throw together. So dinners that I've planned for this week, I'll pull up my meal planner. I have to plan for my family's meals and my meals because they're not going to eat my food. So I'm going to make them ranch pork chops tonight, and so I'm just going to put pork chops in for me at the same time. I'll just put it in a different pan so it doesn't get the seasoning on it, because I'm going to do ranch pork chops, which is with the ranch dressing packet, which I can't have, but I'll put some other kind of seasoning on mine, put it in a different pan, and just cook them all at once. And then I'll probably cook some summer squash up for myself with that. Tomorrow I'm going to make them hamburger stroganoff, and I usually save some of the onion hamburger mixture before I put the other stuff in for their stuff. I reserve that for myself, and then I kind of mix that in with my veggies and everything, so that'll be my dinner tomorrow. And then I already talked about lunch, but I'm making a paleo sweet potato chili for lunch all week. I haven't made that yet. Wednesday, they're going to have pasta with meat sauce, so I'm probably going to have salmon that night, which I have not planned a meal yet, but I'm maybe thinking about some kind of walnut crusted salmon or some kind of lemon pepper salmon. I have a lot of salmon in there, so I might have salmon twice this week. And Thursday, they're going to be having leftovers, and so I might have leftovers too. Maybe I'll make enough salmon for both those nights. Friday is our family fun Friday. We usually always get pizza and watch a movie, but now obviously I can't. And the only place that I know of that I can eat out is Chipotle, so I've been getting that the last 2 Fridays. It's salad with carnitas, any kind of salsa or pico, and extra guacamole. Those are the only things that are compliant from there that I know of. And then they'll have whatever they're having. And then on Saturday, I'm going to make them, or we may have a babysitter that night, but I got them like a bagged meal, like a voila meal, so they can have that. I haven't planned anything for myself yet, but what I did do is made a list of all the meats that I had in my inventory here, all the veggies that I had here, so that I can quickly look at that and quickly kind of throw something together if I need to. I also tried to put all my compliance stuff like in one area of the fridge, so that I can just easily look at and look for what I am allowed to have, so I don't have to kind of pick and choose all throughout the fridge. And then on Sunday, I'm doing a whole chicken in the crock pot, and that's actually for everybody because it's totally compliant, and they'll eat that too. And I'll probably make them mashed potatoes, and I can eat potatoes too. I just can't have milk or butter or anything, so I'll boil the potatoes, and then I'll take mine out, and then I'll continue theirs. So anyway, that's what our meals are looking like for the next week, and I think that's all I have to share, except for just to reiterate, my cravings have been so awesomely under control. And I think it's because I haven't been feeding that sugar monster. You know, I kind of always felt like, oh, well, if I just have a little bit, then, you know, I'll satisfy that craving, and then I'll just go on about my business. Well, what was happening was it just was never enough. I just had this insatiable appetite and hunger and craving for sugar and carbs, craziness. Like, I just can't even explain it. And since I've been on this, I mean, from the first day, really, and the second day especially, it was like the less I had it, the less I needed it, the less I wanted it. I mean, I still kind of want it, you know, I do miss the flavor, but it's not like ferocious like it was before. And then I was going to tell you something else. Oh, also with the Whole30, you only eat 3 meals a day. So you eat enough to satisfy you at one meal to get you to the next meal. So that's way different for me too, because I either graze all day or I do like 6 small meals a day. So it's a very different thing for me to just do this. So overall, it's working. I don't know that I'm feeling any great benefits yet, except for that I'm keeping my eating under control, and so that's a good thing in itself. And yeah, I have snacked a couple times. It says snack if you have to. I mean, I would rather have a banana with some almond butter and some pecans and a little salt and cinnamon than just quit and just, you know, go crazy. So if I feel like I have to have that, then I will, and I've had that a couple times, sometimes apples instead of bananas. Sometimes just a layer of bar, which some of them are compliant. So anyway, gotta do what you gotta do. Week 2 under my belt. I'm not doing a Whole30. I'm only doing 24 or 25 days up until Thanksgiving, and then I'm done, and I'm not doing any reintroduction phase. And I already planned that before I started, so it's not like I've given up or whatever. As far as right now, I can foresee myself doing this in the future, and I really recommend it to anybody that really just needs a change of pace, to get their habits back in order, to be reintroduced to real whole foods, to stop being obsessed with thinking about food, and to really tame those sugar cravings. I really recommend it. And if you need to lose weight, it's even better. Hopefully. I'm really praying to be under 200, but that might be a long shot. I don't know. I mean, if I lost 5 pounds, I would be happy. But I was 208.8 at the beginning, so if I could lose 9 or more, I would be ecstatic. So we'll just have to see what happens. And that's it. So I will see you guys later. I'll probably finish up the vlog, like I said, that I started on Friday. And then I'll see you next week for the wrap up of week 3. See you later. Bye.